Hi, it's craftytinas, and today we're going to make a fun fold card. This card has multiple parts, but is basically a card. This is a 5 by 6.5 blank card turned into something fun. A fun fold card is just that. It is folded in a fun way. In this case, my 3 by 3 mini card is attached to the inside of my full-size card by this little pocket right here. So to open the card, you simply open the flap and open the card. You can write in the inside cover or in this space here and close the card by tucking it into the pocket. I'm going to go through how I made the card and what the dimensions are for cutting the card itself. I've also embossed using embossing folders some of the backgrounds. I've cut out small flowers and greenery using die cuts. I've made holes and added eyelets using the crocodile, and then tied a ribbon. I've added some adhesive pearls, and you will need some score tape, some foam that is adhesive on both sides. For my ribbon, I like to burn the edges so they don't ravel, but you may have other ways you'd like to keep your ribbon intact. And some tacky glue to add the flowers. So let's get started so I can show you how to make this card. The first thing we need is all of the parts and pieces. And I've already cut them out here, but we're going to go through them so I can show you everything you need. When I made this card, I used a 5 by 6.5 blank card. And the first thing I did was I cut 2 inches off. From here to here, 2 inches off the front flap. So the first thing you have is this. It is now 3 inches by 6.5 instead of 5. That is the first step. The second thing I wanted to do was I wanted to add some color to the background on the back of the card itself. So I cut a piece of scrapbook paper, and this one's double-sided, and you can use either side. It doesn't matter. And I cut it 5 by 6.5 to add it to the inside of my card. Let's do that step first. I am using an advanced tape glider. You can use anything you like to add the adhesive to your paper. This has always had that lovely little squeak to it, but I'm kind of enjoying it now, so we're just going to let it squeak. Once you have the adhesive on all 4 sides and down the center, you're simply going to add it to the back of this blank card. Now, crafting never has to be perfect. I am also reaching over the camera to do this, so if you see a little imperfection here, I will clean that up later, or just leave it. Nobody but you will notice that. So now I have the inside of my card, which is the background, and now I want to make the flap. For my flap, I cut a piece of cardstock slightly smaller than this. This is 3 by 6.5. I cut this 2 3/4 by 6 1/4. I'm sorry, 2 3/4 by 6 1/4. I wanted to show you guys on the ruler these sizes to see if that helps. 2 3/4 by 6 1/4. It is a 1/4 inch smaller than your 3 by 6.5. Now you can use plain cardstock, printed paper, or you can emboss your cardstock. Mine is embossed using an embossing folder and my vintage. This is also equivalent to like a Cuttlebug or a Big Shot or a Spellbinder. This is just one of the machines I have, and I wanted to show you how to put the impression in there. So this is a embossing folder. It is a 5x7. They come in different sizes, so if you want to make impressions on something larger, you need to make sure you get a larger embossing folder, but make sure that it is not too wide to go through your machine. So if you're looking to buy one, decide what size folders you're going to want before you buy your machine. It doesn't matter how long they are, it matters how wide they are. In this case, these are my two favorite sizes. This is more of the original sizes. They came out with more of these, and I have a ton of these. I don't have a whole lot of 5x7s, but I make a lot of larger cards. So we're going to see just how valuable the small ones are, even if they don't do everything you want. So it's a folder. You simply open it up, you put your cardstock inside, close it. The sandwich you make is going to depend on your machine, so I can't give you that information, but if you are using a Big Shot or a Big Kick Vantage, which is what this is, you need the big plate and the two clear plates. Your machine will come with instructions. I simply run it through, and there goes the glue. Run it through the machine. Open up my folder, and now I have imprinted cardstock. The imprinted cardstock has a raised side and an indented side. You can choose which side you want. There is no right side. I like it to be raised, but you may like the indented side more. The next thing you need to do is add adhesive to the back, whatever the back is going to be for you. Again, I do all four sides, and then I like to do down the center. Now this is slightly smaller than this, so I don't measure, I eyeball it. Once my top and bottom have the close to the same amount of space, and my right to left has close to the amount of space, then I'm happy to press it down. I don't care if this is exactly even. You will notice, but giving the card to someone, they probably won't notice. But that is pretty even. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make my smaller card that's going to fit here. And that's the flap that holds the card closed. This was made using a blank folded card. I simply cut the card in half, so I would have two of them. This is the folded side. I cut it in half, so this is 3 1/4. And because I wanted this to be square, I then cut it again at 3 1/4. But I didn't waste these. I used the extra for the top label and the corner. So even though you're cutting a card in half, you're still going to use it. So this is 3 1/4 by 3 1/4. It is folded. Because I want to layer another piece, I wanted this piece to be smaller. So this is 3 1/4, and this one is 3 inches. I don't want anything else to fall off the desk. So I'm going to add adhesive to all 4 sides and straight down the middle. I'm then going to take and hold it above, just like we did with the gray piece. And if I'm happy with how much space is on all 4 sides, then I press it down. Once I finish pressing it down, I also have to know where this piece gets glued to this corner. So let's do the corner next. You can also emboss this piece or leave it plain. It really doesn't matter. We're going to add adhesive. To the triangle the same way, leaving a small amount on all sides. This was a piece of paper, cardstock, that was 2 inches wide in both directions and then cut diagonally straight down the center. So this was a full 2-inch square and I cut it down the diagonal. This is a 1 3/4 inch square, the gray part, and I cut it diagonal. So you are better off making 2 cards at the same time because there's going to be multiple opportunities, such as when you cut the folded card in half, you're going to have 2 of these. So you could make 2 cards at the same time. I took a square sticker and cut it down the center to make my 2 cards. And I just wanted a little bit of color on this gray to stand out a little bit more and match the card. Now, in order to add this pocket, I want it to be slightly raised so that this has plenty of room and the person receiving the card understands this is a pocket. So instead of putting adhesive, I chose to put foam squares. 1 in each corner. And then 1 close to the center because my pocket doesn't need to be open all the way. It just needs to have a little edge here for the corner to go into. So the corner is only going to go in slightly, and I wanted it to have plenty of support. So then I remove the backings. This is double-sided adhesive foam squares. They are 1/4 inch. We are going to add our corner pocket to the corner. I did not go to the edge of the card on either side. I left just a slight amount of space, just so that corner doesn't get caught on the envelope when you're putting it inside. Now that that is secure, we can add the pocket. Now on the original, I embossed this piece as well because there is plenty of it showing. You can actually see. And because I embossed a smaller piece, I used a smaller embossing folder for the piece. I did not do that for this video because I showed you how to emboss the gray. So now I want to add this card. I want the entire card to stick to the back. So again, I'm going to add adhesive to all 4 sides. Now in this case, this card is in motion. I'm going to do down the center on both ways, basically putting a plus sign or an X. I wanted a little bit more adhesive. Now to add this, you need to determine how much, by not letting it stick, how much you want your card to go in that pocket. And once you've decided, okay, that's enough, you simply hold it, make sure you're lined up semi-straight here, and press down. And now you have a card being held by your pocket. And now you can decorate this card. You can decorate it any way. You don't have to put flowers. You could put your sentiment here, like if this was a birthday card, you could put happy birthday, pretty much anything you would like here. Now I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive because you guys just watched my favorite glue roll into the back of this cabinet. So instead of normally I would use glue, I'm having to use double-sided adhesive for this video. Once I have my 2 pieces of greenery down, I always like to add 3 flowers. Not 1, not 2, usually 3 or more. Personal preference, you put on there what you like. I put foam on 1. And then I'm going to use score tape for the other 2. I want one to be raised and the other two to be more flat, so that I can put them underneath the edge, like slightly under the one that's got foam on it. I cut these out with a die cut. It is Spellbinder cutting dies. This is the one. I used printed paper. So instead of having to color the flower or stamp it, I used paper that you normally wouldn't think that you should be using. I simply took a piece of scrapbook paper that had multiple colors. I found the color scheme I wanted, not all of these, but this is what I really wanted. I wanted it to kind of blend, but kind of stand out and look more realistic. So I just took a piece of scrapbook cardstock and cut out the flowers. I'm happy with the results because it gave them more depth because of the colors. The next thing I did on my flowers was I wanted to add something to give it more dimension. And they make adhesive flat back pearls and rhinestones. They're relatively inexpensive if you get them when they're on sale. So if you do Hobby Lobby, make sure they're having their Paper Studio sale. Or you can do like I do and you ask for these as stocking stuffers. Saves me a lot of time and expense and trips to the store. And my husband loves that he can just go in there and pick up a bunch of these and he's done. Anyway, there are my flowers. You can shape them, do whatever. Just remember when you stick this in the envelope, they're going to be flat again. But if you're handing this to someone, by all means shape them, make them pretty. Because when you put them in the envelope, they're not going through the mail, they won't be smashed. Now the next thing we need is our banner across the top. And this is where the sentiment's going to go on my card. I don't know what this card is going to be yet, so I don't have it on there. It could be Mother's Day. This card is very universal. It could be a hello, a get well, a thanking of you, sympathy, a birthday, Mother's Day. There's just endless possibilities and I haven't decided what to do with it yet. So there's no sentiment here, but we're going to show you making this tag. Now, it is again layered. I took two pieces of cardstock. I used the extras that I cut off and I cut them out 3 1/4 by 1 1/2. And the colored piece is a 1/4 inch smaller, so it's 3 by 1 1/4. And again, we're going to put adhesive on all 4 sides. And this little guy's small, so I'm just putting it on the 4 sides. I'm not putting it down the center. Making sure it kind of looks straight and pressing it on. Now the next thing I did was I took a piece of cardstock sticker that came with this set, because this was a scrapbook set. It was given to me. It had stickers and paper and stuff. So I wanted to add something over here to look like a tag. And then I wanted to add eyelets. So this is a cardstock sticker. I didn't want a lot showing. So I simply pressed it where I wanted it and cut the adhesive off. I don't do much freehand cutting unless it's up against an edge. I use a paper cutter, like a guillotine or a rotary cutter because I don't cut very straight. So now I have what looks like a tag, and you can stop there and add it here. However, I wanted to add 2 eyelets. To do that, I used my crocodile, the biggest hole, and I love that it has this little black thing. So if I punch the hole here and I move it over here, it's going to be the same distance. So I'm basically lined up the side of my machine with the maroon color and punched a hole, and then did the same thing on the other side so that they're similar in spacing. And again, does not have to be exact. Then I placed the eyelets inside. The nub goes on the flat side and squeeze. And that's it. It's all it takes to make an eyelet. They come in different colors, and they even make some with different shapes. Again, the nub on the machine goes on the smooth flat side, and you just press. And now I have sorry, I have 2 eyelets to decorate my label. I got into eyelets because it's adding a metal component to the card, and when you're making guy cards, it's super hard to get that component. The next thing I did was I got out some ribbon. And I fed it through the eyelets. And you could just punch holes. You don't have to have the eyelets either if you want the ribbon look without investing in the crocodile. Although I do really recommend it. I really like the metal look. You can leave the metal look too. You don't have to put the ribbon. And then I want to put some score tape here and some here. And the reason I'm doing that is because that's where the ends of my ribbon are going to go, and I want it to hold it down. So I tied, and this is a one-sided ribbon, so I had to twist this side to make sure the little silver dots were up, facing up. So take that off, secure my ribbon, take this one off, and secure my ribbon. And that is how I got the look for my card. You could tie it into a bow if you want. Pretty much you could let it dangle more, however you want to do it. I wanted it to be close. Cut it in an angle. And there you have it. So what I do is barely touch the ribbon with the lighter. And now those edges aren't going to fray or become ratty looking. Especially if somebody's like interested in touching and feeling their card. You want them to last a little bit longer. Now we need to add the tag to the card. Now we only want to add adhesive, and I lined mine up with this so it could be just straight above. You only want the adhesive to be here. You're gluing it to the front flap, not to the back of the card. As you can see, it's only glued to the front, not glued to the back, or it would shut your card and you wouldn't be able to open it. I'm using score tape instead of my tape gun for this because I want that ribbon to stick good. I want it to stick really well, and there's 2 obstacles. One is ribbon is cloth, it's not paper, and 2 is this is a raised surface. So I want to give it the best chance I could give it. Place it upside down, and then you can tell where not to go past with your adhesive. And I'm going to put 2 strips on here. Just like that. So I have a piece on my ribbon, a piece in the center, and a piece at the end. So we're going to take this off. This is double-sided adhesive or score tape. It tears with your fingers, so you don't have to worry about a dispenser. It's very sticky, and it will hold really well. And there we have it. So now we have a card that's held closed by a pocket. And now you have room to write on the inside or room to write inside the small card. If you're going to use this for a gift card giver, then you could put a little pocket over here for the gift card and put your little note or saying inside here. And then we close it up. And there you have it, a fun fold card. We used minimal amount of items. This may seem a little overwhelming, but these are the same items that I use in almost all of my cards. So you will get very familiar with the items if you're just starting out. An embossing machine, die cutting machine is very, very important if you want to have a lot of fancy cards. If you want to spend more money, you can get a cutting machine like a Silhouette Cameo or a Cricut machine. I have a Silhouette Cameo and I love it, but it doesn't do everything I want it to do. So there is our fun fold card. If you have any questions, please just comment below. I'll try to answer everybody and get you more directions. If you would like the dimensions of each piece, let me know and I'll put it in the comments. Make sure you subscribe. That way you will know the next time I make a card and can come back and see the next creation. As always, happy crafting!